Hi, it's Kevin. Today we're in Colorado Springs to do Move with MAD. MAD is a nonprofit organization that stands for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. What they do is they try to spread awareness about this issue, not just with drunk driving, but with driving being under the influence of other substances too, such as marijuana. And so today this walk is to remember some of the victims across Colorado that have been killed by a drunk driving related accident, but also some of their families are here to walk with us today and share their story.
I'm Barbara.
Barbara, Karen told me that you started MAD Colorado.
I did,
So wonderful.
with the help of Jesus.
Yeah, no, definitely.
These were made, this lady made this for us. This is 2005. And each, as you'll notice, there's all ages. We try to do whatever we can for the families, because whether it's a baby, a child, a husband, a wife, that we always want to be there for them. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. And this one was made back then. We are 43 years.
Yeah.
And so, but we still got a lot to do, because too many people still don't think about it. And this year, the State Patrol told me that from January through April, we already have 130 crashes, multiple deaths. And we're trying to get people to stop drinking and driving. We have way too many crashes. I found out from my younger brother, when our dad passed away, I thought he just passed away. And he was the only one that knew that my dad had been killed by a drunk driver in 1977. The kid that killed my dad, he was 16 and ran a red light. My mom was killed on February 11th, 1982. This is what we do. We do these so that the officers, when they pick somebody up for DUI, okay, that's my mom. And so we have these made so that they can give them if they're drinking. And hopefully they will see these are real people. The gentleman always worked early from 5 till about 3. Then he went right to the bar and drank and drank and drank. And I sat in the courtroom, and he got a 1-year work release for killing my mom. And so I'm a strong Christian. I said, God, there's got to be something else we can do. He said, if you will have a good attitude, trust me, what the devil meant for evil, we're going to turn it for good. And so our whole goal for the Colorado MAD is passion for the victims, because they need people that can help them walk through it. Because it's no matter what age they are, it's still, but right now we have way too many young kids that are getting in cars and thinking their friends are fine, and the friends have been drinking. If somebody's been drinking, you don't get in the car. Call your mom, call your dad, call your grandma, call somebody, but don't get in the car.
So she was 10 years old when it happened. It was on September 9 of 2022. We're actually going to her 3rd year next month. We were having family fun night, and we lived in Whitefield, so we went to Red Robin in Broadmoor, and it was only 7 o'clock. Not any kind of after midnight or anything, just 7 o'clock. And we were driving home about 5 minutes. We were at the last light from getting home, and we were at the stop sign to turn left. And the drunk driver was going over 80 miles per hour from the police report that they told us. And he hit us on the passenger side, so our car spun around and it hit both of our sides, but my daughter Jocelyn got the most impact. So as soon as it happened, I got down out of the car and I saw my daughter laying there in the car, and she had her booster seat just like any child would. And my husband got out of the car as well. And we saw the driver who hit us. He had 3 of his kids in his car. So he was also had kids in his car, drunk driving. All of his kids were fine, including him. They took my daughter Jocelyn and my husband in an ambulance. And that's where they told us that her brain had swelled and she was in a coma. So they told us we can keep her in this coma, see what happens, and go from there. And then my husband had both of his ribs broken. His lungs were fractured. He had neck injuries as well. He was at the hospital in Memorial Central, so we were separated. I was with Jocelyn for 9 days until the doctors decided to tell us, this is it, like, you guys have to make the call, end her life, or she goes into cardiac arrest. And the hospital was nice enough to bring my husband to say his goodbyes to his daughter. And then we later found out that the driver had ran. They couldn't tell us anything, and he didn't actually get arrested until a year later. A year later from when my daughter passed. And now he's actually going to be up for parole in 2027, which that means that there's no strict laws in Colorado. It's just a slap on the wrist. He had his kids and nothing was done about that. I had my kid and I got her taken away. If you think about drinking, do what's best. Ask for a ride home. Take a friend with you. Have them be the designated driver. It's all fun and games until somebody's life is taken that's not worth it. My kid's life ended when she was 10, and that to me isn't fair at all. And we got fortunate that I have my second daughter, because Jocelyn was my first daughter. We found out about my second daughter the first year of my daughter's late birthday. So that was like her way of telling us, here you go, Mom, this is for you. You guys can't be alone. Jocelyn was such a nice, caring person. She liked to play jokes on you. That was her thing, just pranks, pranks, pranks. And then she liked K-pop. She loved doing arts and crafts. I would bring her a box of tissue and she made it into like just a cute stationery to put all her notes in it. She was so caring. You could be mad and she would just be like, Mom, I love you. And that would just make your day.
Hello, I'm Trooper Pratt with the Colorado State Patrol. I'm here to talk to you today about DUIs, and we covered over 220 DUI and DUID crashes that were fatal last year. All those crashes could have been preventable. Please be responsible. If you drink, do not drive. If you are drinking, get an Uber or have a sober party take you home. Thank you.
We're finishing up our walk here today, and we got to hear some stories from some people who had lost loved ones in a drinking and driving accident. They aren't the only stories that need to be shared. As you can see, every single one of these, someone was killed or injured in a drinking and driving accident. And so we're going to listen to one more story, and so that's where we're going to head to next.
Yes, so my son Dominic, he was born, we had been married for 12 years. We had a very fine life. We both felt very fulfilled with everything that we were accomplishing in life. And for whatever reason, we were all of a sudden surprised and blessed with, hey, you're going to have a little boy. And it turned up our whole entire universe. Like I had my own marketing firm, and my husband was a police officer, and we had no idea that this is where our life was going to take us. So we had to do some quick U-turns and say, okay, this is what we're doing now. And we remodeled our house, changed our job situations, changed everything. And I'm not kidding you, that moment I held him in my arms for the first time, any mom knows that that changes you. And the moment I held him, I was a different person. And he was a spunky little kid, never slept a wink, had trouble sleeping. I think he was 2 years old before he slept through the night. And then, but he always knew what he wanted, and he was driven to get it. And he was a class clown. So he just loved to make people laugh. And the other thing about him was the man he was on the soccer field. Holy cow. He had the best friends in soccer. And he was a midfielder, and anyone who knows soccer knows the midfield connects the defense and the offense. So he was the one making the decisions of, I've got this ball, and now what am I going to do with it? We got through COVID, and it was kind of a sad time and a trying time for everybody, but we were coming out the other side of it. And we realized he had to get his wisdom teeth out. He had soccer tryouts, and we were going on a trip. So I looked at the calendar, and it was a Thursday night. And I said, he said, Mom, can I go out tonight? I'm like, well, we usually don't go out on Thursday nights, not normal. But I looked at the calendar, and with all of that going on, we had 5 nights left of summer. So I'm like, you know what, go out. He left here about 3:20. I walked him out to the car. He told me he loved me, got in his car. Of course, I said, be careful, make good choices. I asked him who was driving, all of the things that we always did. And he said, I love you, Mom, and backed out. And I walked up the driveway. And wasn't even late enough for the for Life 360. Wasn't even tracking him. He got in a car at 7:09 with somebody he really didn't know very well, and by 7:13, the kid who was driving the car ran a red light and was hit by a semi-truck. He was in the car for 4 minutes, and that 4 minutes, that decision to get in that car versus any other car, and that spot in the car versus any other spot in the car was life-changing for all of us. He was 17 years old, and he should have had a lot more life ahead of him. From the time Dominic was born, from the time he could comprehend and have conversations, safety was probably too much of his life. His father was a school resource officer. He was on the SWAT team. And so we were all of the time giving these messages of remaining safe and making good choices and talking about all the dangers that can happen out there. There could not have been a child who knew more about his own safety than Dominic. And like a lot of kids, I see them roll their eyes when their parents, every time they walk out the door, make wise choices. Who's driving tonight? And the kids get really annoyed that their parents are saying that, but we have to keep saying it as many times as you will hear it. And everything Dominic knew did not save him from the consequences of getting in the car with the wrong kid. If one of your friends has been drinking anything, or if you have been drinking anything, there is no okay to drive. You cannot drive. One drink is enough to get you a DUI or something very, very worse. Yeah, this is where Dominic grew up. We've lived here since the day he was born. I remember bringing him up these steps from the driveway to the steps and showing him his bedroom and the place where we filmed his first day of school. Every year we would take pictures right here of his first day of school. And yeah, he grew up here playing in these yards with the kids in the neighborhood. And it was just kind of a regular yard back then. And after Dominic was killed, we decided to make this a place where he can be honored and celebrated. And so this is Dominic's memorial garden. But even the sidewalk along here was on purpose because when Dominic's friends want to come and see the bench that we created in his honor, the community actually sponsored that event. It was bought by everyone in Broomfield, Westminster, and Arvada who came together to do some memorials for Dominic. But that sidewalk up along here is so that people don't have to come to our front door and ring our bell and have a conversation with us if all they want to do is come and spend some time being around Dominic. When Dominic would leave our house to go out with his friends, I would quite often find on Life 360 that they would stop here. And so I know that this is where kids will gather and then figure out what they're going to do for the night, and then they'll meet each other at the next place. The significance of this bench right here, this spot is right across from where Dominic parked his car the last time that he was in his car. So he parked it right there. And so Dominic parked his car here, got in another car. I'm not quite sure whose car it was at that time. That's something I don't know that I'll ever know. Got in another car, was hanging out with some friends, and when I got the call at 9 o'clock in the evening, we instantly got in our car and drove down however many miles it was to get here, and we got diverted. We were driving down 287, and all of a sudden we see all the lights and sirens, and there was no crash in the intersection. But my husband being a police officer, we both knew what that meant. If they were diverting traffic a mile ahead of where the crash was, we knew what that was about. And so we had to divert, and we couldn't go straight to the hospital. We had to come a separate route. So it brought us down this street. When we came down this street, we saw his car sitting there. We're like, he's got to be okay. There's his car. We actually saw his car parked right here. And we drove right by it on our way to the hospital, and where we spent 5 hours, our last 5 hours with Dominic. And I remember coming up to the security guard, and he's going through his motions of his day, and we're like, we're here to see our son. Where are we supposed to go? And he said, who are you? And I said, we're the De Palma family. And he goes, oh, I think he's still alive. And I remember her saying he's on 5 different medications to help his blood pressure. And so for several hours we were hoping. We had hope. And it wasn't until this very awkward chaplain walked into the room that we're like, oh, we are not here for hoping we're having a surgery. So there was a point in the night where we realized we were hoping for a peaceful transition for him instead. And then this is where all his friends gathered, next to his car. And they built, right across from here, they built a candlelight memorial for him. They started putting rosaries, they lit candles, put flowers and vases and signs and balloons. It just makes me so sad. 17-year-olds, they should be having the time of their life. They should be going to homecoming and prom and worrying about what clothing they're going to wear and what outfit they're going to select and what TikTok they're going to make. They shouldn't be wondering if lighting a candle is going to take the burden off of their heart a little bit. The driver was absolutely fine. I don't even know if he had a scratch. The passenger was okay as well. He had some cuts on his arm, I believe, but both of them now will have lifelong mental injuries, dealing with the memory of that night. And all 3 in the back were bloodied, mangled. The other 2 survived. One of them had a 1% chance of survival. He made it to the Wright Trauma 1 Center with a surgeon who had handled similar situation before, but he had a 1% chance of living, and somehow he pulled through. And but he has lifelong injuries, lifelong physical injuries to him, and he struggles with it on a daily basis. And same with the other one. He ended up with his face shattered, his mouth wired shut, and while that is healing now, same thing. He will have both physical and emotional injuries for the rest of his life. Dominic wasn't on his way home yet. He was still out and about early on in the night. The sun was out. It was the golden hour. The sun was in the sky. And it's always important to get home safely, but it's important to get everywhere safely. And I feel like at the end of the night, everyone will be like, okay, do you have a ride? Do you have a safe ride? Do you have a designated driver? But if you don't make it to that point in the night, it doesn't matter. So every time you get in a car, make sure that you're the sober driver, the driver is sober, and if that's not possible, call somebody or get an Uber or a Lyft, get a ride share. It doesn't have to be midnight before you start thinking about being safe. I think it's pretty difficult for a teenage mind to really comprehend the consequences of DUI. You drink, you drive, you crash, you take someone's life. I don't know that that's something you ever get over. And I actually have a lot of empathy for the driver of the vehicle because he was 17 and his brain wasn't developed. And a lot of this was working against him. And that doesn't matter because the fact of the matter is now he knows he killed somebody. And he didn't just kill a stranger in another vehicle. He killed someone he knew. And I think that's about as bad as DUI gets. And he will carry that forever.
Next, we will be meeting Ken, a man who was drinking and driving one day and killed his niece in a car accident.
My name is Ken Hayes. I was convicted of a DUI / homicide.
So Ken, tell me a little bit about your relationship that you had with your niece.
Oh man, it was wonderful. My niece, I would like to consider myself her favorite uncle. We did everything together. We went skiing, we played games together. She was in high school. She was in middle school going to high school. She played a lot of sports. She was a musician, could play a lot of instruments. And we were very close. We talked all the time. We did all kinds of things together.
So what was life like for you before the crash?
Life was a little carefree. It was, I kind of treated life, this world, like an ashtray. I did what I wanted to do, how I wanted to. Didn't feel like I would ever feel any of the consequences, the things that we hear about. Never felt that I would fall as a victim, or most importantly, never thought that would hurt somebody so innocent. Ashley's parents were out of town, and at the time I had a real fancy car. The night of the crash, she kept asking me to let her drive that car. Well, me knowing I was drunk, I kept telling her no. As the night went on, several drinks into the night, I eventually gave in to Ashley and told her she could drive the car. Ashley's friend, her friend's mother, and I got into my car and headed out east where there wasn't a lot of traffic. I felt like she could drive the car. And again, I was drunk, so I wasn't really making wise decisions. I don't recall a lot that happened that night, but on the way back in, not sure if I was speeding or swerving. The only thing I was sure of that night is I was drunk. The car went off the road. The car started to roll, and Ashley was ejected from the car. I was ejected from the car. The other two passengers, they stayed in their seatbelts. That particular night, I remember crawling through this tall yellow grass, screaming for Ashley. Ashley, Ashley, where are you? Ashley, please answer me. I remember coming through with some doctors and some nurses standing over me. The doctor was telling me all these things that was wrong with me, from a head injury, shoulders, internal issues I had going on. And I remember his voice started to fade away. All I could do was think about Ashley. And when that doctor left the room, I remember trying to get up and the nurse telling me, hey, you need to stay down, you're in too bad a shape. I remember telling that nurse, I gotta go talk to Ashley. I gotta go tell her how much I love her, make sure she's okay, apologize for putting her through a night like that. And I remember the nurse saying, she's at another hospital. And me thinking, thank God. In and out of consciousness, I remember coming through with my sister, Ashley's aunt Vicky, in the hospital room with me, my brother Steve in the hospital room with me, and Ashley's mother Joyce. And as I came through, I remember Joyce getting up, walking over to me. She gave me a kiss on my cheek and whispered in my ear, Ashley's gone. No, no, and I started yelling for my sister, no, Vicky, please, please wake me up from this nightmare. Please shake me from this nightmare. This isn't supposed to happen to somebody like me. Anybody else out there in the world, but not me. This isn't my reality. Here I am today, standing here with you in that same nightmare. And this is over a drink. Something that could have been prevented if I'd have took a little more responsibility and not chosen to drive that night. John and Joyce are true angels. John, my brother, Joyce was his wife. If it wasn't for them and their caring, their belief in God, I probably wouldn't be here today. They, out of what I could only imagine how much anger they have for me, they found the strength to help me want to survive this. They helped me want to continue my life and bring me from the brinks of self-destruction. I got released from the hospital and went to John and Joyce's house. John is Ashley's father. And Joyce again greeted me at the door, and she gave me a kiss on my cheek and told me to have a seat. I can remember hearing John in another room saying, let me just get it together before I go out there. Let me just pull it together. And looking back on that, I realized that this man was trying to get strength, trying to get the strength together to come talk to the man that killed his daughter. And as I sat there, all I could think of is this man's going to come out there and beat me up, choke me out, shoot me, stab me. And I was okay with any of that. Whatever it took for this man to feel better, I was okay with, whatever it took. And he comes out and he looks me in my eyes and he says, Ken, I know you loved Ashley and she loved you. And he turned his back on me and started to walk away. I remember standing up. Hey, John, can I be a pallbearer at her services? And I remember him running out of his own house. Joyce, he wants to be a pallbearer. Joyce. And there I was in this huge church as an honorable pallbearer. And this church was filled with family members, her cousins, her classmates, her teachers, strangers. I watched every single one of them. I literally watched every single one of them walk by Ashley. Sometime after that passed, John called me up. He says, hey Ken, there's been a warrant put out for your arrest. And I remember thinking, all right, John, I'll turn myself in the morning. He says, no, Ken, we're going to do this tonight. And I said, okay, I'll meet you at my house. He says, no, we're going to meet at Mom's house. And I remember feeling a little doubtful on why he wanted to meet at our mom's house, considering I had my own house. But the time I spent in jail, I had time to figure that out. He knew she was getting ready to lose another one of her kids, and he wanted us to spend a little bit more time together. Well, I remember walking into my mother's house, and I don't remember the conversation. I do remember that we didn't share a whole lot of words together, and John walking through the door. I don't think he said anything to her. I think he walked straight over to me and said, hey man, you ready to pay for what you did? And I said, yes. And I remember leaving my mother's house with my brother, and we started driving. And I remember him parking a distance away from the courthouse, and we just started walking, and he was walking ahead of me. And somehow I found the courage to stop him. Hey John, hey man, how come you're not taking any of your anger out on me? And I guess in my mind, I'm thinking maybe if he beat me up, he would feel better, or hurt me, or just take that anger out on me. I mean, we can only imagine what we would do to somebody that killed our kid. And he just looked at me again in my eyes, and he said, Ken, there's nothing I can do to you that you're not going to do to yourself. And he turned his back on me and started walking again. I remember walking through that first set of doors up to this bulletproof glass where he did all the talking and I stood back. Eventually, a cop came from around that bulletproof glass and asked me to put my arms behind my back. And I walked to my cell, and that's where I started my new life.
Standing in your shoes now, knowing what you know, what would you tell somebody who's thinking about drinking and driving?
Absolutely, do not do it. Do not do it. There's plenty of outlets out there to take care of yourself and other human beings. This is easily something I have to live with for the rest of my life. I don't know if you've ever thought about killing anybody, but it's overwhelming. You can't recoup from this. I killed a 14-year-old, so allow me to go through this for you. Find them outlets, taxi, bus, don't do it, designated driver, anything else but get behind that wheel. You're talking about an extra $50 for that good time, or $18,000 with the possible mindset that you can never recover from. Mentally, on paper, still to this day, I will go attempt to get a job. And I am a felon. I carry the record of a vehicular homicide offender. There's a lot of things I cannot do.
We've heard from mothers who have lost their children due to drinking and driving. We've met Ken, who has killed a loved one drinking and driving. So please, don't drive under the influence.